Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Evan Verplu, and I serve as the Executive Director of the International Relations Council. And for those of you who don't know, we are a nonprofit based in Kansas City that holds lectures, discussion groups, youth programming, all to increase Kansas City's global acumen. So we try to represent all parts of the world equally, and we're currently in the midst of a series on the climate, which gathers you all here today to talk about climate across and sustainability across industries. So we've got an awesome panel for you here today. And first and foremost, I'd like to recognize Biomicrobics for sponsoring this program, as well as Stinson LLC for sponsoring the series. Before I go any further, I'd like to introduce Jay Antle, who is the Director of the Sustainability Center here at Johnson County Community College, and he's going to speak for just a couple moments.
All right. First of all, thank you all for coming out today. I just want to say a little bit. Some of you are from the college, and so what I'm about to tell you, you've heard before. But those of you who are new to the college and what we do here with sustainability, I do want to say a couple of things. We have managed to put about 2.5 megawatts of solar on our rooftops now. Between that and our contract with Evergy, we are now roughly 95 to 97% carbon free in terms of our electricity usage here on campus. We also do a lot of work with sustainability in the curriculum all across the campus. We've just launched a new sustainability distinction program where students can do sustainability coursework and get recognition on the transcripts. So we're doing the curricular side of the house. And I lead for international relations. I take students to Iceland every summer to study geology and climate change. So with all of that said, this college has committed to sustainability. It's a matter, it's something we have in our board policy. It's actually prominently mentioned in our new presidential search materials. So we're going to keep doing this work. And so thank you all for coming. And now it's time to figure out what some companies are doing locally to help address the issue of our times and what's for dinner for the rest of the century.
Thank you so much, Jay. Yes, obviously these issues impact us all, which is why we at the International Relations Council decided that it was timely to put on this series. So far in the series, this is the fourth program in the series. We started out with a partner program with Linda Hall Library that touched on the illegal wildlife trade. We also had a program on relocation and climate refugees, and our last program was on climate and biodiversity. Our next programs in the series are on November 13th, and we have a program on Zoom that's going to be on climate, anxiety, and mental health. That's going to feature Dr. Elizabeth Haase, who's the Medical Director of the Behavioral Health Center at the Tahoe Regional Medical Center in Nevada. And then on December 4th, we're going to have our last program in the series, which is Solutions and the Path Forward. It's going to feature Max Canninger, who's the founder and CEO of Canby Markets, Jason Humphrey, who's the Evergy Vice President of Development, Rachel Stroher, who's the President of the Land Institute, and we'll have a keynote speech from Andy Savastino, who's the Chief Environmental Officer for the City of Kansas City. So that's the Wednesday, December 4th at the Evergy campus, and that's going to be another 11:30 lunchtime program. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists for today. So first we have Dominique Davison, who is the founder and managing principal of Draw Architecture. Since 2005, the company ethos centers around elevating the urban and site context, going beyond aesthetics to understand the cultural and socio-economic dynamics while utilizing Draw's radically resourceful process to design with empathy and activism. We also have Robert Rabori, who's the founder and CEO of Biomicrobics. It was established in 1996, and Biomicrobics is a global leader in advanced wastewater, gray water, and stormwater treatment systems. And serving a diverse markets, Biomicrobics has distributors in more than 80 countries and 80,000 installations worldwide. We also have Ryan Grobler, who's the CEO and founder of FridgeWise. He established the company in 2011 with a clear vision to address the growing concerns about energy consumption in refrigeration and HVAC systems. Grobler's leadership has been pivotal in positioning FridgeWise as the forefront of sustainability and innovation within the industry. And moderating today's discussion is Logan Healy, who serves as the Executive Director of the Heartland Conservation Alliance. The HCA works with partners to protect, connect, and restore the Blue River watershed and its urban green spaces for everyone's benefit and enjoyment. He also serves as the Overland Park City Council President, He has served on the city council since 2017 and in the presidential position since 2023. So without further ado, I'll let you guys take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the introduction, and thanks to our panelists for being here. Thanks to JCCC for not only all the great sustainability leadership work that they do here in our community, but for hosting us here today. The purpose of today's program is designed to challenge the perspective of the climate crisis being something done by industries and to people exclusively, through showcasing the sustainability work being done through three diverse sectors to combat climate trends, reduce carbon emissions, and prevent public health issues. So we'll go this way for just some brief opening comments before we get into questions. And I did want to, if you could frame your comments to the extent possible, we are currently in a pretty severe drought here in the Kansas City area. Who here thinks this is normal, what we're in with our drought? So I think it would be a good argument to say that climate change is impacting us here in Kansas City, not just on the coast or other areas. So in your opening comments, if you could kind of consider water, our current drought here locally, local climate challenges, as well as anything else you want to open up with.
Good morning. Ryan Grobler from FridgeWise. I'm the CEO of the company and founded the company. You can't hear me? Can you hear me now? All right. I'm going to hold it right up here. Back in 2010, or before 2010, I was actually in the development industry, working around some very large mega homes in the Aspen area where we lived, and was building those and really focusing in on the energy consumption of these large houses, and became very interested in energy reduction and green building. In 2009, took a bit of a break from that and decided to look at other industries, knowing that the amount of electricity used around the world is a staggering, it's roughly 25,000 terawatt hours a year, and a third of that is used by air conditioning and refrigeration. And that's in residential as well as commercial. Commercial sector is a little higher. I had an opportunity to look at walk-in refrigerator, evaporator fan motors in 2010 and see if we could somehow come up with a solution to reduce the consumption of those motors. And what we found in the industry is that all of the old technology around those motors was prevalent throughout the retrofit world. So all the new equipment coming out might have had them in. All the old equipment that was in the industry had older technology, which is using a lot more energy. There were already motors that were more efficient that we could get our hands on and simply take out older motors and put in newer technology motors and reduce consumption by up to about 70% in walk-in motors, little motors. And when you aggregate them all across portfolios, it's a very large amount of energy that can be saved. In the first 2 years, we really dialed in on the actual savings portion of that, and that's where the innovative side kicked in. When we found that there were fluctuations in the savings, we were saying to clients, if you take that out and put this in, you'd see about a 70% reduction, and in fact we were seeing 55, 65, sometimes a little more. When we got in really deep into that, we found that the aluminum blades in the industry were actually unbalanced, similarly to a car wheel being unbalanced using more gas. These blades being unbalanced were causing these motors to pull more energy in refrigeration. So we went about creating a balanced blade to optimize the motor, and so after about 20 iterations on that, we landed on carbon fiber back in 2012. So we invented or created a carbon fiber axial blade that went on refrigeration motors that essentially balanced the motor for the duration of the life of the motor. So now we could actually say to clients, when you take that out, you put this in, you will see a 70% reduction. As a byproduct of that, the blade, the way it cut the air, the weight of the blade, and the aerodynamics of the blade actually reduced the consumption of the motor even further, to a point where we saw new energy level savings in walk-in refrigeration motors back in 2013. We took that into the industry and quickly got into a lot of quick-serve restaurants. We did most of the portfolios around the country in refrigeration, reducing that by about 85%. We did all of the Wendy's, Arby's, Bob Evans. We did a lot of hospitals, Johns Hopkins, Mayo Clinic, all of that in reducing kilowatt hours by implementing this new technology. In 2015, we were put up for an award internationally against DuPont and Samsung and Toshiba in London for the product of the year in energy efficiency. And I went over there with, actually invited a friend of mine to the function, thinking this will be great to sit here amongst all these people. And our name was actually read out as the winner of that in 2016, which was astounding. A little company that was in Colorado at the time winning this international award against giants. That put us on the map as a company. We moved to Kansas City in 2016. And then we started looking at air conditioning, and we developed blower motors with integrated drives. So we took what was in the industry, just a simple induction motor without a VFD drive running at 100%, and we developed motors around that with drives that ramped the motors up and down, ultimately reducing rooftop unit usage by about 35%. Now, if you look at a pie chart of energy usage in any building, you'll see that air conditioning and heating is a large chunk of that. And then you take refrigeration into account and you add even more. As a company, we then expanded into several countries through clients. We're now fully set up in Canada, Mexico, South Africa, Australia, and we install in every state in the country here, including Alaska and Hawaii. In this country, we are now north of about 6 billion kilowatt hours a year that we take off the grid with this technology, and we really have been innovative around the motors, creating packages that we take into the market that are more efficient than simply just having a motor. And we've been able to do that for the last 15 years very successfully, and it's been a great experience, dropping down the KWH for a lot of our clients around the country in the portfolios we have. So that's a quick brushstroke of FridgeWise. We're here in Kansas City. We have Houston offices on West Coast, East Coast, and in Colorado. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come listen to us. So I'm Dominique Davison, Managing Principal of Draw Architecture and Urban Design. We're based here in now the West Bottoms, where we just moved recently, going on our 20th year as a woman-owned architecture and urban design firm. We specialize in sustainability and adaptive reuse and urban infill development. And in particular about the water question that you mentioned, I might mention the KCI airport. So we were the local architect on all the interiors of KCI. And we're part of all those early discussions around what the lead goals would be, the sustainability goals of the airport. And when we were doing the research for that, along with Skidmore, Owings & Merrill, the report came out about Kansas City, or this region, being the fifth most at risk of climate change in the country, in the United States, because of this issue of drought and the changing dynamics that we're seeing with very heavy rainfall and then longer periods of no rain, right? And how that's affecting the way that our soil moves, what it does, but also then access to water, of course, irrigation systems, all of that. So very interesting to hear about your system. So water was recognized early on in the process as being an important one for us to look at. And then, of course, we focused a lot on energy savings, and in the end, we're able to achieve LEED Gold, and we're one of, I think, only 3 airports in the country that have achieved that. So I think that's right, Tom. Did we get gold or silver? Do you remember? Oh, okay. So I think it is gold. Yeah. So that was really exciting to be a part of, and looking at all the different ways that we could integrate efficiency from smart building systems and trying to reduce the amount of time that people drive around the parking lot to find a spot, right? That's something that definitely affects air quality, to having charging stations, to making sure that we're using water efficient fixtures, and there's a massive, slew of efforts that were put into place for that. And we have done a wide variety of kinds of projects, though not just civic projects, but we do a lot of adaptive reuse of historic buildings. We do a lot of urban infill and multifamily mixed use, residential, master planning, and So one of the things that's been really exciting lately that we've also been able to achieve, I'm currently the American Institute of Architects Kansas City chapter president, and a big push for us has been trying to achieve better energy goals with the city. So Kansas City, Missouri adopted last year the 2021 IECC standard, which is a big leap in performance standards. And so we've had to now defend that multiple times, but it really is making a big difference. It causes everybody to have to do an energy model and assess the energy usage of the project, really look at infiltration issues, and it's just it's a great improvement. So yeah.
Thank you for those very informative overviews and three very different but certainly interconnected industries. So glad to have you with us. We're going to stay with Dominique. Can you share more about positive impact design and the connection between cultural dynamics and architecture?
So positive impact design is how we have started to really think about our design process, which is a holistic one, looking at all the various systems that are involved in the built environment. So we talk about like the community aspect, right? What's the opportunity for architecture to create community and bring people together, to create gracious spaces that you really want to spend time in? What are the aesthetic impacts, right? We obviously want to create something that's beautiful. And then resources. How are we impacting water, energy, and all the things that we've just been talking about? And then the economic impacts. So it's, as a developer, right? So much of real estate and so much of how we build things is really driven by economics. So how are we really understanding those economics, the drivers for the developer or the client or the community, and making sure that we're delivering something that is going to be a responsible solution in that regard. So all of those dynamics kind of come together, and then the kind of social dynamics, then what community is impacted the most, right? Are they going to be detrimentally impacted? How do we make sure and get all the stakeholders input into the project, and we're hearing all the voices around the table, and that can greatly inform and make a project so much better. So, people talk about architecture and what we do, and they think it's just drawing buildings, but we're really thinking about all of these systems and how they play together, and how in the end we make sure that we're creating a positive impact for the community.
Fantastic. Ryan, we'll go to you. What have some of the greatest joys been for you in scaling FridgeWise from its founding in Colorado, it sounds like, to where you're at now?
When we founded the company, we had a vision, and a vision was to, get into the industry and reduce kilowatt hours around the country. I remember the very first pallet of motors that showed up when I started the company in a basement. It actually showed up in the driveway, and we put that in the garage, and I was very excited to go, these are going to go in the market and save all this energy, which was fantastic. My wife looked at me and said, where are we going to put those? And I said, in the garage. So from that point on, we founded the office in Colorado, in Glenwood Springs, and I remember having the same excitement when the next 4 pallets showed up, and we had a great joy taking people in and saying, look at all these motors, to a point where we got our first big client, and then really started accumulating kilowatt hour savings and reductions that we were seeing, and really pushing that out into the market, and correlating that to number of homes taken off the grid, number of cars taken off the road, to a point today where we put in north of 250,000 motors a year into the industry, and the amount of energy that's taking off the grid is amazing, and it's just it makes me happy to see that, knowing that with climate change and everything that's happening with consumption of electricity right now and grid overload and all that kind of thing. I think seeing that it brings a lot of happiness and joy to me. Also, my children, I have an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they talk to me a lot about this sometimes, and they want to know what I do. And I say, we really are focused in reducing kilowatt hours and bringing down consumption by implementing innovative technologies into this big sector that uses so much energy. And for them, I think for the next generation, it's very important to understand what's coming and, how quickly we need to act. I think a lot of people can see what's coming, but nobody really reacts until it's right in our front lap. I see what's coming. I deal with it every day. I know what's coming, and we're trying to do our part to really reduce that before it gets too close to where we are and go from there. So yeah, seeing the company from inception all the way to where it is today, developing innovative technologies around carbon fiber blades and stuff like that, it's been really, really rewarding. So.
And before we get to Bob, be thinking about questions that you have. We're going to have time for a few questions after we ask one here of Bob. So just be thinking of some things that might be on your mind for any or all of our panelists here. Bob, how have you seen the wastewater industry shift in the 27 years since Biomicrobics was founded?
So starting around the 60s into the 90s, most of your wastewater treatment was done in similar methods with very expensive, complicated, full-time operated pieces of equipment. And starting in the 90s, and that's when we started our company, people started to take a look at using technologies that wouldn't use as much power, cost as much, wouldn't need as much labor to operate and maintain it. And as a result, it's attracted a lot of younger people into the industry now. As a matter of fact, just 2 weeks ago, we were at the largest industry conference here in the United States. And I made the comment to several of the folks that were in our booth that it looks like there's a lot more younger people now than there ever has been. So I think it is attracting a more diverse and younger group that's interested in the new ways to treat and reuse wastewater. So one of the terms, treat and reuse wastewater is an easy one, right? But one of the terms that came about is wastewater harvesting, to show that it's actually a resource and not something that's wasted. As a matter of fact, it's the same water that the dinosaurs drank. We're just cleaning it over and over and over again for our own use.
Thank you. So we've got time for some questions. I think Evan's going to take my microphone around, and then we'll have the panelists respond as appropriate.
Hi, thank you. For Mr. Fridgewise, have you considered a smaller unit that might help older institutions, homes, churches, big facilities, make some sort of transition to more efficient refrigeration process?
We have installed motors in old age communities and different areas inside of furnace motors. So furnaces inside your units, we can replace those with more efficient motors. As far as residential refrigerators go, the motors are tiny. We haven't ever come up with a solution to make that motor as efficient, because the delta or the difference between what's in there today versus what we could put in would not be a huge amount of energy savings. But we do offer product certainly in old age communities where we replace furnace motors and rooftop unit motors and reduce energy substantially in those portfolios.
And just a follow-up question, is there any thought given that maybe we need to rethink 72 degrees as the optimum?
That's a great point. Yes, I mean,
maybe we could go a little higher and be just as comfortable.
I think the answer is yes. I mean, what we see in the industry is when we look at new equipment going into the industry, generally speaking, the motors are programmed to come on at 100%. Okay, so if you're in your home and the set point is needed to be reached, the furnace kicks on and runs at 100%. What we try and do is go into the home and say, you know what, in these different cooling one, heating one, etc., we like to run them at different speeds. So if you do want to have your house at 72 degrees, it's not using 100% of the energy of the motor. It's using a much smaller fraction of the energy of the motor. So you can still reach that set point by using less energy. But I think there's a lot to do around set points and building envelopes and stuff like that. I'm sure architects talk about it all the time. But I mean, if you have an envelope that's not efficient, it doesn't matter what your set point is. You're going to lose all that energy anyway. So your motor's going to run all day. So there's multiple levels of things that need to be done in the industry, but I think we're trying to put the most efficient engine in the system to produce the set points, to get to the set points for everybody. Yeah. Thank you.
I'll go Jay.
All right, so we're at a college, and we have just a few students in the room and many more students who may see this video. So as you're thinking about your industries and how they are trying to all deal with these massive challenges of the 21st century, what do you need in your workforce? I mean, what are the skills? What are the what do you need your workers to be trained in, both in terms of the skills and the technical, but also philosophical outlooks? I mean, what are you looking for?
Yeah, we are definitely looking for architects that have a specialization in environmental design and energy modeling, and sort of that hybrid between mechanical engineering and architecture. That's something that is definitely in demand. And, we partner with mechanical engineers who are really great partners. But it's sort of just having that bent where your focus is really on the sustainability piece would be really helpful.
I think for us, just finding individuals that are passionate about the industry that can go in. I think our biggest issue in the industry is educating the mass market about what we do. I do presentations all over the country, and I talk to groups, supermarkets, restaurants, whatever it may be in the crowd, and they all go, "Where have you been?" And we have been here for 15 to 20 years now, going around this industry, and we have by far the best, energy-saving products in the refrigeration and HVAC world. So people that are certainly passionate about energy saving, and willing to go out there and tell the industry about it and spread the message is very important. And then on the technical side, we do all of the installations, we do all the rebate paperwork, we do a full turnkey solution. So there's multiple positions open within the company from a technical side all the way up to business, and then also educating the market in some form.
We have 3 factories, and all 3 of them are original equipment manufacturing locations. Headquarters is right here in Lenexa, and yes, we do have solar panels on our roof over here as well. We have people on staff that have chemistry degrees, biology degrees, business degrees, marketing, anything and everything that you could think of. We have a commercial artist who once taught here at Johnson County Community College that creates our brochures and a lot of our other images. We have 3 PhDs, one in marine biology, another one for drinking water, another one for wastewater. And then we have skilled laborers that work in all 3 of the factories. So anything and everything that you could think of, we utilize. And we also do a lot of presentations. And when we find people that have technical degrees that could work in sales and engineering, if they can also make technical presentations to audiences in the industry, that's a big help. Same thing with traveling and doing trade shows and greeting people and explaining what we do well. That's also very beneficial to us.
Hello. This is for all 3 of you. This is a vision and challenge question, so it's 2-sided. Where would you like to see each of your industries in 10 to 20 years? And what are the top 2 or 3 challenges for being able to achieve that vision?
I'll go first on that one. I think the biggest issue is getting people to overcome their fear of drinking reused wastewater. I believe right now, so we've been doing that for years. Like I said, we're drinking the same water the dinosaurs used and so forth and so on. But I think 20 years from now, you're going to want to treat and drink your own wastewater, not your neighbors, not your neighborhoods, but rather you're going to want to treat and drink your own reused wastewater. As a matter of fact, that one system you saw at University of Miami, we installed it underneath our office here in Lenexa, Kansas, and treated the water from the men's and women's bathrooms and the kitchen, and we made a batch of beer out of it.
Fantastic. In our industry, I'd like to see some form of mandate that allows these types of motors to be implemented at certain efficiency ratings. I think far too many times we see projects being done that have been priced out. They're priced out. They don't price energy efficiency. They would rather go with the lower price product. So we see a tremendous amount of equipment being installed that's older And so we pull it out and put in the new efficiency, because people don't sell energy efficiency. And unfortunately, institutions that are doing projects they base their decisions on how much it costs to do the project. So, we see some industries like the hospitality industry right now is setting some goals for 2030 where they have to reduce their consumption by 20 to 30%. We become an integral part of that because that's being put in place. So I'd like to see more around, mandates that buildings have to be brought up to a certain efficiency level, especially in, air conditioning and refrigeration, because I think I mentioned early on, 1/3 of all energy on Earth is used by heating and cooling and refrigeration. If you can make a small dent in that, you will eliminate brownouts, you'll eliminate grid problems, you'll eliminate a lot of things. And I don't think people realize what's actually out there and what can be implemented. We talked about solar a little bit. I know Johnson Community College has a solar array. Have you changed all your motors out to efficient motors? You have, every single one of them. Fantastic. There you go. So you need people like this that do the full scope, right? They do the reduction before production. I see too many people putting solar panels on. They're not looking at what the energy consumption is within a building. They just go and put solar panels on. Reduce, then produce. And the amount of energy you could pull off the grids by just simply, if somebody said swap out every rooftop unit in this country with, permanent magnet motors and put drives on them, the amount of energy that would drop off the grid is staggering, and people don't understand that. So that's what I think I envision our company, or hopefully mandates everybody going to efficiency, putting in these types of motors. So
Reduction before
production.
Yeah. Renewables should be the last piece of the puzzle, right? Even though we love renewables. But so I am so excited to be here today with you both, because we developed our project in the West Bottoms, and we're trying to get to net zero for our office. And so it's a historic building, and we've done everything we can. We added insulation to the roof. We put in new windows in order to make the envelope more efficient. We have, sensors, LED lighting, high efficiency systems, but I don't know about the fans. We got to go look at those fans. I'm really excited to see if we can cut some energy. There's, to your question, it's Architecture 2030 is the industry-wide mandate that we get to net zero impact for the built environment. And now it's kind of by 2050, because it's amazing how fast 2030 came. We're almost there. So we've made great headway towards that goal. But the thing that we found over and over again that is a hindrance is we do need to invest in our buildings, and we need to invest in these improved technologies in order for our buildings to be able to hit those goals. And to completely put that mandate on the private market, they are not doing it just by sheer goodwill, right? We have to actually put in the regulations to make it happen. And I've seen it for 20 years now. It requires regulation to move the needle. So I think we can get there. Europe's certainly doing it. So that's something that everybody just needs to understand, the kind of politics involved with all of this. And as much as everybody wants to do the right thing, the dollar always wins, to Brian's point. So I'd love to see better increased regulation along with more public financing to make sure that we can achieve the goals. And the payback is there, right? It's just one of those things like quitting smoking. You don't know in 20 years that you're going to have cancer, or even 5 years, right? But we all know this at this point. We know that we're getting cancer. Like we know. So yes, right. Exactly.
I think I just want to add one more thing to that. Just incentive-wise, I can tell you that rebate incentives that we've seen on a nationwide basis have almost doubled in the last 2 years. So utilities are now offering great incentives on motor implementation, kilowatt-hour reduction, both on the custom and prescriptive side. So we work with all the utilities across the country, and we actually apply for the rebates for our clients and pass the rebates back to them. But those have actually, in some states, we see paybacks as fast as 4 months now. New York, Oregon are offering amazing rebates right now. Kansas has just this year put rebates in place for motors, the first time we've ever seen it. So we can see that coming, and I think people need to use that incentive to to get these buildings up to where they need to be to hit net zero.
We got time for one more question. All right.
So I know I'm not alone in this, but I see sustainability as an ethical obligation for us all. And I teach business ethics here on campus, and I get students who are often very dubious about the ability for businesses to integrate ethical concerns, don't see businesses having necessarily any ethical obligations, and see them as mutually exclusive in some ways. And as individuals who are successful, it seems, in your industries, what might you say to those individuals who don't see that there's possible overlap, and how you can make it work and why we ought to?
So is the question, how does sustainability tie in with ethics?
The question is about, it looks like all of you are doing great work that seems to be motivated from within. You care about the environment, you care about people and their well-being, and you've found success in working to that end. And I guess just as successful business individuals, what might you say to allay fears that students have that, any business who cares about ethics, who cares about doing the right thing, is necessarily going to fail, right? That you can't be successful while being concerned about those kinds of things.
As a college, so I was in college once. It was a while in the 70s. But I would say don't worry about, study what you want to study. And then when you get out of school, you'll naturally gravitate towards a firm or an organization that allows you to do what you do well. Because in the end, it's not all about money. It's people wanting to do something that they think other people really appreciate, and they want to be appreciated for it. Of course, they want to make a living wage, right? And we provide that, of course, but especially here in Johnson County. But nevertheless, people just want to do something that they enjoy doing. They want to be appreciated and recognized for it. So I think don't worry about what people are studying here, or, you go to school and you think, well, I'm going to be a teacher. Well, you may end up making presentations on advanced wastewater treatment systems for a company like us.
I studied medicine initially. Exactly. I mean, just find something that you're passionate about. I mean, we talk about ethics a lot in the company, and just being out in the industry and really promoting what we're doing and ethically and all that. But unfortunately, if I go out and I try and sell energy saving, or let's make your company greener, we won't get anybody calling us. We have to go out with a different approach, with the same passion of going out to market and finding these companies. But we sell cost savings, and then on that backside we educate them about, look what you've done for the environment by doing this, right? So you really have to apply yourself. You have to be passionate about something. It's not always a straight road to the end goal. You have to find a way to get there. We do it by, look at all the money you're saving, and then, oh, by the way, look at all the energy you've taken off the grid, and well done, you're saving the planet. And then you get them to do it that way. And the more that kind of takes hold in the market, the more it expands for us. But never a straight road to the end. Studying, having a degree is a great thing. I went to college too. I became an entrepreneur. So.
And I would say to those business students, people want to do business with people that they like and they trust. So are you really going to trust someone who is just motivated by money, right? I think more and more this next generation seems to really get that. And I've actually been really impressed by how much they are motivated by values and wanting to do the right things. And those two are definitely not, separated. So if people know that you are actually care genuinely about them and their well-being, they're more likely to give you their money, right? At least I am more likely to give a company money that I trust that way. So, I mean, if you look at companies like Interface and there's Mohawk even, the carpet probably in here, they've done a tremendous job of pushing sustainability and then really marketing that well. And they're now the leaders in the industry. So I think they're definitely not mutually exclusive at all.
And before we get to closing remarks, I want to also put a plug for the public sector. We've got, city, county, state, federal, utility, government jurisdictions, school districts, community colleges, nonprofit organizations that have a lot of job openings right now, where you can, have the public service aspect and make a good living as well. So always want to plug the public sector in addition to good industry partners as well. But we'll go to, we've only got a couple minutes left before we hit 1 o'clock, but I wanted to give everyone here an opportunity to give some closing remarks, anything that you've wanted to say, haven't had a chance to say, or anything that relates to something that somebody else was talking about. We'll start here.
So, regards to sustainability, I do agree that the younger generation today is more conscious of that. And when I was a kid growing up, they said, "Oh, this Vietnam generation," and I was actually a little bit behind that because I wasn't eligible for the draft. But they'll never amount to anything. And, you always hear, and you hear that today, oh, the young people today, they're never going to, I think the opposite is true. I think they're going to do better than us. And I think on the sustainability side, that's one really good example.
I think for us, it's, I always tell people after presentations, we do presentations, and lovely crowd today, people leave and they go back to their normal lives, and they often forget about what they were just in a lot of the time. I always want people to act. I mean, with this train is coming. We can see it coming. I see it every day. I see grids collapsing. I see states like California imploding, right, every single day. But what are people doing about it? They're not really doing anything about it. It's one thing to go and stand on a corner and hold a picket and say, "Hey, green, green, green," and then you go home and turn your lights on and turn your TV on and put the kettle on and put the stove on and leave your lights on, right? Try and act on it. Try and not just talk about it. Try and talk to people about it. Try and say, this is coming. We're seeing climate change. Back to the drought. The hurricanes that are coming through, there's a reason they're bigger. There's a reason that we're seeing more of them. It's not just happening or falling out of the sky. Okay, climate change is real. And unfortunately, most humans, unless it's in your front yard, they won't act on it. Right? Until the water's actually coming into your front door, they go, "Oh, let's do something about it." Smoking. Not going to give me cancer 20 years. Stop smoking. Act. Okay, act. Try and do things that are better for the environment every day. Make a little difference, because a lot makes a big difference in the end. So,
yeah, and Bridging the Gap does a really good job of kind of giving people a little kind of hints of things they can do in their own lives. I love that organization. So another plug for that. In terms of acting, besides the things you can do in your own life, I'd say maybe, talking to your public officials, right? Making sure that they know that it's something that matters. We have to go and sometimes talk to the city council and write letters and just kind of get our voices out there, make sure that we're kind of pounding that drum all the time, again, because the policy piece is so critical to this. So, I would also advocate, if you're someone who's passionate about this, to go into the public sector side or run for office, because that's really where the power lies. Yeah.
Going off that, I've got some homework I came up with. Based on some of the comments up here. I'm a local government official. The homework that I would suggest to you when you have the time, hopefully today or sometime this week, find a local government elected official who represents you. So not Sharice Davids, not a U.S. senator, not the president, not the governor, a city, county, school district, somebody at the local level who represents you and is elected, and contact them about any issue that is important to you, whether it's climate action or not. But find out who they are, email, phone, go to a meeting, just one person, just one local elected official. find out who they are, contact them about something that's important to you. Then I'd also suggest that you vote in the election that is currently happening right now. You can vote, I believe, at the Carlson Center here today if you want to. Or, excuse me, Midwest Trust Center. Yes, my apologies on that. But thanks, everybody, for attending. I'll pass it to Evan for anything he wants to close up with.
Well, thank you so much, Dominique, Ryan, and Bob for being here. And thank you so much to Logan for moderating today's discussion. I very much encourage you to check out the Heartland Conservation Alliance. They're doing good work all the time, and encourage you to engage with that organization further. Thank you so much for attending today's event. I'd like to remind you that on November 13th, we'll have our Climate Anxiety and Mental Health program on Zoom. That's going to be at noon. And then on December 4th, we'll have our last program in the series, Solutions and the Path Forward, at the main Evergy campus at 11:30 a.m., and that will run to 1 o'clock. So,
where is the main Evergy campus?
I should know that off the top of my head. I think it's... Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. 12th and Main.
The tallest building in Kansas City.
Yes. All that information can be found on our website, irckc.org, and we hope to see you at a future program. Thank you so much, everyone.